Nobody's going to tell me that going out and networking with a bunch of people is going to inspire you more than being in the middle of a club when the DJ's dropping your favorite record. I mean, that's what the scene is all about, and people should not let those moments pass by.
Welcome to your weekly elevation, your dose of real strategies for real results in dance music. I'm Olivia, and today's episode is crucial if you're planning on attending Miami Music Week, which is next week, or if you've ever wondered why some artists seem to get more out of it than others. For me, last year, I had no intention of going unless there was a work opportunity for me, and a work opportunity presented itself 3 weeks before Miami Music Week. And so I had to make a split-second decision with all of the hotels booked up and all the flights booked up. Should I pull the trigger? And I'm glad I did. It didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, but I learned a lot. And I came back home and I said, mark my words, next year, Miami Music Week, I will be there doing something in a bigger capacity. I will be speaking on a panel. I will be doing intentional networking. I will be doing all the things that I intended to do this year but didn't pan out. And lo and behold, I'm moderating a panel at Winter Music Conference. So I'm really excited about that, and I hope to connect with some of you guys there. That being said, my guest, Paul Campbell, he's not just another industry veteran. He is the ultimate insider, from throwing his first party at Space at 16 years old to managing Grammy-nominated duo Side Piece. Paul has seen Miami Music Week evolve from every possible angle. He's like a Miami Music Week historian. And as a lifelong Broward resident who built Dayglow, if you guys remember that brand, into an international phenomenon, he understands the Miami scene in a way few others do. And what makes this conversation so valuable is that Paul isn't just sharing surface level networking tips, okay? He's breaking down exactly how the landscape has changed, where the real opportunities are, and most importantly, what most artists get completely wrong about Miami Music Week. So whether you're heading to Miami for the first time or your 10th, this is information you can't afford to miss. I invited you on the show because I want to talk about Miami Music Week. But before we get to that, let's talk about you. Walk me through your journey of being like a party promoter to now managing Grammy award-winning artists.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool story. I mean, I started throwing parties like when I was like really young, and I was just like working for other promotion companies. Now it's like talking about like 16. I'm 41 now, so that's a long time ago. That's 25 years ago. 41? And I
ironically, 41.
Oh, no?
No.
I don't feel it at all. I feel like I'm 25.
That's amazing.
So, so we used to, actually the first place we ever did a party was at Club Space. We rented it out with this company called Dream Team, and they did all age party rentals like once a quarter when I was in high school. And I just bought like 250 kids came from like Broward, which is like 45 minutes away. And ever since then, I was just like, I really like this stuff. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, am I going to be a doctor, a lawyer, firefighter, join the army, whatever? And then I was like, nah, there's something about this music stuff and like promotion specifically and raving. So I was just like, I really like the rave. And then, did that and just did a bunch of like little parties here and there. And then when I was 23, I moved up to Tallahassee, and me and a group of homies, we were just like, yo, let's do this for real. We threw a party, we brought in DJs. Like, it was really cool. At that time, like, nobody was really like listening to dance music like that. And we're all from Miami, so we've been like used to it from when we were young. We've been, raving forever. And this is definitely more like rock is being played on the radio, like, it's the hip hop songs like T-Pain type stuff. And like, it's just different culture, different look. The clothes kids wear and everything. And we were just like force fed it down people's mouths. And then from there, we started to throw parties, started to grow. Parties got bigger. We created Dayglow, which was the Pain Party. We took that across like the world, basically. I had 40 international markets, every state, like all the colleges. And then we sold the company in 2012. And after I sold the company, I just like really didn't like the corporate structure. I was like, I need to get out of this thing. And then I quit. And then I was just like, what am I going to do now? And I said, I think the most obvious thing for me to do is music management. I have all these relationships that I've built over 15 years. I've worked with so many different promoters, and I think I could do good. I really enjoy the music. I've seen the events from all capacities, but definitely from the stage on. So I was like, I think I know what it takes. And that's when I decided to go into artist management. And I love it. It's been almost 10 years now. And just so many different people that I've worked with, and collaborators and co-managers. And it's just been an awesome journey. And one of the first artists that I managed was Ricky, who is Nitty, who is half a side piece. Where he's ended up getting to in his career has been awesome. And he's been nominated for Grammys, and he's won some Latin Grammys and stuff like that. And I've had all different types of artists that do all different type of stuff, but it's been really cool just in being part of that ride and being part of people's journeys and, watching their careers take off. So I love artist management, and I'll probably do this until I retire.
Wow. Okay. So Nitty's awesome. He's been on the show before last year. We had a great conversation, but I did not know that you were Dayglow. And I remember going to a Dayglow party in college. So it's really crazy. You realize how small the industry is and like how things come full circle. Yeah, because when I was raving in college, I didn't think I'd be speaking to one of the founders of that rave.
Yeah. It's been awesome. I'm glad you got to do the experience. It had its windows, like 15 years, and like if you were there, you were there. Pay parties don't really work anymore, but during that time, it was a lot of people segue into the scene, a lot, from promoters to attendees to DJs. A lot of their first experiences were that event. So I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how, in your opinion, has Miami's dance scene evolved since you first started? And is it for the better?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, man, that is such an in-depth question because it's a journey, right? And you kind of have to like understand the whole journey to really understand that to be able to respond to that. And I'll try to keep it as short as possible when I can, but yeah. So like, Miami Music Week stems from Winter Music Conference. Winter Music Conference is a conference that would host an event, and where they'd bring speakers and go over topics and stuff, just like you see some of the other, IMS and these different types of conferences, right? And then from Winter Music Conference, Ultra popped up, and Ultra is the festival that was the culmination of that week, right? Of meeting people, networking, and doing all this stuff. There's this big event when everybody's in town. And then all the satellite events started to pop up, right? And this has all happened. You could break it down. There used to be only a handful of satellite events. And then every venue in Miami is a satellite event. So that's shrinking back down and growing again to shrinking back down. So it was a little bit of a different culture, minus the music and everything, just the way you came over here and you networked. A lot of Europeans would come for the scene, and Ultra brings in a bunch of international people. So you get quite a bit of a different vibe from some of the other events, because it's just like a melting pot of all these people from all over the place came for, Ultra as well as the conference, and then I'd say also during that time, South Beach was such an attraction to the world, and South Beach isn't as much of an attraction to Miami locals and Winter Music Conference / Miami Music Week anymore. It exists, but it's not like every venue it was doing parties for Miami Music Week and Winter Music Conference. So now that like the downtown, the Wynwood area, Edgewater, all the way down to like Magic City, they're all doing events now. And those are really cool events that are being hosted. And those are almost hosting cooler events than the beach is going. So before, you kind of got to just book a hotel at the beach. You go to your events, and it's basically like a strip where you would just be able to go network, and you would see the same people walking down the street to go into events. And then you would have the conference, and you'd see everybody there, and then you go all the events. And the only time you would come on this side of town, which is downtown area, would be to go to Ultra. And now it's scattered out completely. The biggest attraction isn't South Beach anymore. There's still the pool parties, but it's quite different. So I think just like that dynamic has changed the way that people move, what people are looking for. It took a very concentrated thing and it broke it down a lot. And because that ability to network has been broken down so much, it's become more of a party than it has become a networking scenario, because it's a lot easier to network when everybody's together, when everybody's 5 blocks from each other. And now those 5 blocks are 5 miles or 10 miles all separated. So it's not like as much. There's still definitely great networking to be had, but it was just almost you couldn't help but network. Now you have to actually really go out there and seek it and really plan accordingly to be able to knock all of it out. So, I mean, it definitely gets a lot more winded, but that I think is something to like kind of to understand the growth and the changes of Music Week and stuff like that.
That's really interesting. I didn't, and I recognized that going last year, how much I was bouncing back and forth between South Beach and Wynwood. So I did not realize that it just had started concentrated in South Beach. So networking, I feel like I've seen you post about this networking during Miami Music Week. And it's for my Patreon students and my audience, it's one of the toughest topics to crack because artists don't know how to do it without seeming like they're coming off as opportunist, or they don't know when's the right time to approach people. And you, as someone who people would want something from because of your experience, connections, access, I know this is probably not a simple answer, but what is the right way to network during Miami Music Week?
Yeah. That's a great one. I love your questions, by the way.
Thank you.
I think that I think rather than finding out the right way is kind of knowing the definitely wrong ways and the
Okay,
do
let's go
nots,
through this.
right? And I think there is a right way. So I kind of just go back and forth between both of them. I definitely think somebody going out there that really is like on the cusp of like having a moment, or whether it's a DJ or promoter or anything that you really like, you're really buzzing, right? If you're not really buzzing at all, take that week to do homework. Like literally, like there's no point to be talking to somebody and trying to reach out to these DJs and these artists and all these people, these publishers, everybody that's around, and you're not ready. I'm talking about when you're ready, right? And if we're talking about like reaching out to like the top of the food chain, like be ready, right? Have your shit together. And then I think at that point, knowing who you want to talk to is very important, because knowing who you talk to would also dictate where you're going, right? So whether you're trying to look for a label, whether you're trying to look for publishers, whether you're trying to look for songwriters, whether you're trying to meet other producers and DJs, and whether you're trying to meet promoters, right? So there's all these different areas in the business, right? And where are these people's at? So, I mean, I would say that I'm pretty sure most of the people want to know like, hey, I'm a DJ. I want to go meet another DJ or another producer. I think like the reality of this scenario is just like, you got to understand what their week is also like, right? And they're busy and they're running around and they got their friends out there. They got their entire company and their crew and their agents and their managers, and they might have invited their family. So it's just like, if you are in a situation where you could be where that artist is at, you could be backstage, you could be behind the ropes, you can do these things. I think you have like a window, and that window should be very respected. And I think it could be really quick. Hey, what's up? Huge fan. I love your stuff. I know you're super busy, but I might have a USB, whatever it is you have. I would love to just lay it on you. And you might not remember or whatever, but I will send you a message. So if you recognize my message, whatever, and I'll send you a link to the folders after. And I hope you get a chance to check it out. Been a big fan forever. Right. After that, get out of their way. Like literally just don't like, it's not fair to just go out there and bombard them beyond that, unless they are engaging back. Right. And you can always You can always see that, right? And I've been there a lot of times, and I'll give everybody like a minute, and just go, yo, what's good? And I'll get lost in a conversation. But if I'm trying to go, there's nothing worse than being in that situation where you don't want to hurt somebody's feeling because you got to go. And that person like really just like abusing that time to be like, hey, give me your phone number. I don't think that's what somebody should be asking for somebody's phone number. It's not right in that moment, in that 1 second that you have. And the last thing that I would say is like, I think it's really smart for you to know who that person's team is and that person's manager, because that person would have more of a second say, hey, X, Y, and Z is playing right now. So I didn't want to hand them this, but, I'm such and such and I'm DJing and I'm producing and I just wanted to send it to you and maybe, you can send it to them. Right. And then that person might be like, oh, right. It's a manager's job to sign clients. Oh, this guy came up to me professionally. He had a vibe. I like the way that he or she approached me. They sent me a message on IG. Let me follow up with this person, or let me filter it before I send it to the artist. So I definitely think definitely shoot your shot. Definitely keep it short, and don't have this expectation of having a long-winded conversation if the artist is not showing that that's what he wants right now. And being able to know like the people on their teams that maybe you could have a longer conversation with, or it would be even better to send their music to them. And then at that point, you can follow up with not just the artist, but the team. And I think that's probably a really clean way of doing it without bombarding it somebody just being like, yo, this was a waste of my time. No.
That's incredible advice. Going up to someone's manager shows that you've done your homework too, because not all managers are visible or have big social media presences themselves. So if you do, I always say take the FBI approach before you go into a networking event and do your homework, because that stands out to people, especially if you can call out something specific. And like you said, I think that keeping it concise, like your elevator pitch, is so important, especially for introverted people, because you're like giving yourself an out. You're like, here's my 30 seconds to say my piece and I'm going to respect your time and I'm out.
Yes.
And you got to practice that. Like you literally have to practice that in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure your nerves are going to kick in when you're there because you're looking at one of your idols that you want to play with music and it's this thing. So yeah, a little bit of practice lines would go a long way. So yeah, definitely know who you're trying to meet, and that will really help you in the process.
Yeah. And going back to what you said about, knowing like if you're buzzing, like that's kind of the time to strike while the iron's hot. But if you're not, the majority of things that I've learned about working in the dance music industry have been from observation. Going to an event, being a sponge, watching who interacts with who, how they interact, learning that the people who I think are the decision makers actually aren't. And it's people even more behind the scenes. And there's so much value in that. But I feel like because of this culture of like, we want everything, instant gratification, people don't do that. And it's like, if you're just there and you're a fly on the wall, you can learn so much.
Yeah, you really can. It's not something that I think people should rush. Look, a lot of producers and DJs, the scene has kind of changed this way too, where like a lot of the producer DJs were the guys that were actively out in the scene. Like they were partying, they were in the scene, they're DJing parties. They were very like their introduction to the industry has been a lot different. So their capabilities of networking and maybe had a drink with this person or been able to party with this person, they just can navigate the playing field a lot different. A lot of producers and DJs today, they kind of come from like being veteran producers and veteran DJs, and their connection to the scene isn't really there. And you could sometimes hear that in their music, like it's just like, it's like, imagine never really knowing like that, that minutia that brings it all together, but you were really good at just like, hey, I know how to make a melody and, rise or drop, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you never been in that moment where, the music's building and the CO2 goes off and the crowd's really grooving and moving and you're figuring it out. Like, don't let those moments pass by. Like there's a lot of education on a lot of different ways, but like learn the crowd, learn the audience, learn the music, learn the scene. And I think it just makes you better. And I think people shouldn't be just so scared. It's like, hey, this is a networking thing. No, it's definitely that, but it's definitely a time to go see a bunch of different producers and DJs of a bunch of different genres seeing a bunch of different fans from all over the world interact. And I think like when you know where your lane is, and you could be a dubstep DJ, or you could be, bass DJ or techno tech house, go be with your people, go jam out in the crowd and go catch a moment and kind of do your homework to like, because it's just going to make you that much better when you get back at home. You're going to be that more inspired, and that level of inspiration is missing. Nobody's going to tell me that going out and networking with a bunch of people is going to inspire you more than being in the middle of a club when the DJ's dropping your favorite record. That's what the scene is all about. And I think people should not like let those moments pass by.
Wow, that's the soundbite right there. I never thought about the correlation between people who make music based off of their experiences being, a fan integrated versus people who start in their bedroom. I mean, we are all products of our environment in one way or another, and I see how that trickles into music. Wow.
Yeah, definitely. And look, probably some of the best DJs and producers in the world have been bedroom DJ producers. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But there's anomalies, and I definitely think people should be a part of the culture that they aspire to be in, like that they want to perform in front of, and being that I've been in the scene forever, I started this as a fan, and I'm 25 years in, and I'm still a fan, and I still keep up with new DJs, and I keep up with new trends, and I keep up with new genres. And if you want to have that longevity, like really love it and be passionate about it. And like, it's not just like this quick thing, let me copy this, or let me be part of this wave, or let me be part of this trend. It's like, no, I'm here to stay. I will be here for life. And when you look at some of the guys, being that I've been in the scene for so long, when you look at the guys that have been around for so long, promoters, producers, X, Y, and Z, they're true fans of this, and they love it, and you can hear it, and they grow and they adapt. And it's the people that, are here one day and gone the next, that, they were never here for the right reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's easy to spot that. So you mentioned that with, everything being so spread out now, which I've been struggling as I'm putting together my own schedule, from like I'm speaking on a panel or moderating a panel at the conference. At the same time, there's this party I really want to be at for fun and networking. So I'm trying to figure out how to be in 7 places at once. I'm sure that's amplified times 10. What does a strategic schedule at Miami Music Week look like? Like if you could have, in an ideal world, people who are starting to put together, maybe they're not like, maybe they're buzzing a little, but they're not like super involved. How can you put together a strategic schedule for the week?
Yeah, definitely. Prioritize some of your fun, right? Prioritize some of your fun. Don't put that on the back burner. Like, pick the few events that you want to go to as a fan and be there for somebody's set, whether it's an hour or 2. I think that would really be great. Like if you really wanted to be on top of it, right? And this is like, I've mastered my music week, right? You are going to want to get like a scooter or a little, whatever you call them, the like moped or whatever. You're going to want to get something like that so you can navigate the traffic. Because you could get on the Venetian, you get on 395, you get on 195, and you could be stuck in 1 hour traffic. Wynwood is back to back and everything. But then it's also like South Beach is going to be more active in the day, right? Kind of around evening, it's going to be slammed. Then Wynwood and downtown activate later at night / the morning, all the way down to Factory Town. And then Magic Shade and all that stuff, there's the traffic's not really that crazy. So I'm all about like, hey, like I'm going to be at this event and I'm going to be there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I'm going to be at the next event. And if you can just get on like a scooter, you're going to win. If you could get like on a bike, you're going to win, because if you get stuck in an hour and a half traffic, you're really not going to be able to do any of these things. So like the way that I look at it, like for me, I would say, all right, in the daytime, I'm probably going to go to South Beach, and I'm probably going to go to some of the pool parties. I'm going to go to some of the different activations that like Sirius will be having a thing. EDM.com will be having a thing. UTA, Wasserman, they're all going to be having their thing. And then there could be like a couple panels happening in different things. And all those areas between like, basically like 14th to like all the way to like Soho is just going to be like packed with different events. So I'm going to spend my day And that's where I'm going to go network. And in that, I might go see one or two things that I really like. And I might be at the beach from 12 to like 6. And then at that point, I'm going to go home, I'm going to rest and everything like that. And now I'm probably going to be shifting gears to being in downtown, being in Wynwood, or if I'm going to go to like Factory Town and stuff like that. So then I'm going to go those. And at night, I'm going to get a little bit of networking in early, but then I'm just going to start having fun at that point. And so is everybody else. Right. So, I would say in that, don't party too hard. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a fast paced marathon. But, make sure that you could wake up the next day and repeat the day that you just had. So I would go to the beach in the day. I would stay there till about evening, get my rest, hit the night around, 11, 12. And then, that's going to be going towards a couple venues. And for me, I do like a space. I'd do like a Factory Town and maybe like an event or, like a little pop-up event, or an artist might be hosting something somewhere. And that would probably be my night.
Okay, that's good. I pretty much had this, like the same thing going. I didn't think about the scooter. I'm not a very athletic person, so I'm gonna think about that one.
Yeah.
But it is great. It is great advice. We get in on Tuesday, and my first stop will be Whole Foods to stock up like our hotel room, because I do this for festival, like whether I'm working or not. If I could have like fruit, vegetables, and just like some sort of protein in the room, because like I don't want to, like when I'm like going, like I don't want to stop and eat. So like I will, but I don't want to. So that's always been my secret weapon, is having like fresh fruit in the room.
Yeah, that's smarter. I like that.
It's hydration, No, but that's good advice. So is there anything that artists should avoid doing during the week? You said it's a marathon, not a sprint, but is there anything that you've seen in your experience of however many Miami Music Weeks that you're like, oh my God, don't be like this guy?
Yeah, I think two things come to mind. Don't get too faded. Don't get too faded too early. Like, it's cool to party and stuff like that. But if you're out there networking and you're trying to, network at all, and you're sitting there and your face is melting and you just look insane, then, you got it all wrong. Right. And obviously don't drink too much, when you're in the networking mindset, kind of read the room, and then I think like blowing your load too early. I think it's just like, right now the parties start from Tuesday, for example, like at Space, the Ground and Floyd and all this, and even Jolie and a bunch of places, they start on Tuesday. Right. So like, don't have a rock star night on Tuesday. Right. Yeah. And in my opinion, I would say like Tuesday, keep it light, get home pretty good. Wednesday is the same. Thursday, you want to turn it up a little bit. And now you got really Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's when you got to hit send, and you just got to get through it, but it takes a lot out of you to be in Miami sun all day. If you're going to Ultra, that's going to be crazy. You could be partying at Factory Town till 7 a.m. Like, you really got to be smart, and like a good schedule will save you from a lot of dumb decisions if you really stick to it. So like, some people just come in and party, and I think do whatever you want. But if you're going to kind of come in and network and, build some relationships and kind of have a meaningful Miami Music Week, definitely take the time, build your schedule, plan accordingly, and, put sleep in there and rest. And yeah, definitely get your good apples and vegetables and proteins.
Yeah. It's the basics. People forget the basics because you get so caught up in the excitement. But if you can do those things, like, it does make a massive difference. Like, I haven't gotten sick after a major event in a couple of years. And I credit that with just like, being a little older and wiser and doing sleep and the whatever.
Yeah, I love that. I never mentioned, but I think it's really important to mention though, like, there are events that are like built to just network. And I think like people should like seek out those events, because the best place to network is not necessarily when, an event based around booking multiple DJs throughout the day. Right. Because that's just a party. That's just like, yeah, just an event. There will be a lot of events that are made to be networking type of events. So like I've been to every agencies has a network event one of the days. A lot of the blogs have a network event one of the days. Somebody like Blondish, she did a paddle event. Diplo does his
Yeah.
Diplo's Run Club. Cascade did it one year as well. There's like these moments where it's like, hey, this is really cool. I could actually sit and talk with people and get to know people and everything like that. And those are going to more so happen in the daytimes. So like know those events and look for those events as well. Like the hardest event to network at is going to be a DJ centric event.
Yeah.
That's just playing. So just know the other style of events and, try to get some of those in the calendar as well.
Where do you recommend people look for those? Because I feel like sometimes those, unless you're already kind of in the loop, are harder to locate online.
Well, yeah, I think, yeah, that's definitely part of it. But now that people know they exist, it's a lot easier to find.
Sure.
It's the first part is not like knowing that it even exists, and after that, like, yeah, like I might get, because I have artists on like most of the agencies, so I'm going to get the agency invite, right? And that doesn't necessarily go wide, but you might have a friend that's at an agency that got the email that has a plus one, and then you start to work your angles that way. But like, yeah, a couple guys like DJ Tennis, he does like this tennis thing, and then you have like, I went to a really cool party last year where somebody hosted at a really nice cool dinner, just invited like 50 people, and it was just like this whole thing, and you got to just chill and eat, and it was just like, there's a lot of those, but you just have to like follow people's pages and kind of know who's kind of that artist that would do something like that. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, no, that's good advice, because like the better events are the ones that you kind of have to dig for. They're the ones that are not like, I have this opinion on gatekeeping that like a lot of things should be gate kept. Like I give advice freely, like I'm an open book. And I know like you seem to have that mentality with how you present yourself on social media, but you like, not everything is for everybody. Like there's things that I do now that like 5 years ago, that version of me wouldn't be ready for. And I didn't belong in that room. And now I do. Yeah. So I think that's really important to mention. Yeah. Okay. Last question for you, because this is the other thing that comes up, and it's even for artists who are getting booked at, $7,000-8,000 fees. They come to Miami for Music Week, and that fee gets dropped down to like $300. Yeah. It is difficult to make money during Miami Music Week, and business savvy people know that it's all one giant write-off. But how can you, this is probably not an easy question either, but how do you maximize your time on a budget? Because it is expensive. There's no public transportation. How do you do that? Or you just don't, and you just bite the bullet?
I'm definitely one of those people that, depending on where you're at with your career, you got to just go all in. So, I mean, if push came to shove, figure it out, right? And that's credit card. That's do whatever you got to do, right? So don't ever let a opportunity pass you by if you can figure out some way of solving it. And completely understand that not everybody can do what I just said, right? But yeah, the DJ fees, I mean, DJ fees for bigger artists are getting dropped down to nothing, and it's just the nature of the event. It is supposed to be an event where a week where you can be in, not at parties, go shake hands, have moments, right? Like it does so well for content, right? Like if all you got out there was dope content, you played 4 or 5 shows, and you got to shake hands with X, Y, and Z, meet a couple people. I mean, it's worth it, right? So you kind of got to go in with that mindset of like, hey, by any means necessary. But, I think at the end of the day, as everybody goes from just being new to the scene to growing, your relationships develop. And if you're like just new entirely and you don't have any relationships and you can't get the plus ones and you can't do any of these things, then that's just your reality, and that's just unfortunate. But like, as you grow, you might have that one connection where you could get into that venue or go get connected with that artist or go be at that event. And you need to really figure out who you can lean on for those different types of things, and a lot of people like, there's a little bit of like, just how savage do you want to get? But if I was there and I had no money or resources and I wanted to be part of this event, I would have contacted the promoter in January and I would have been like, yo, I will promote this event. Every day I'll make a post. Can I please get just a +1, me +1, GA, right? Whatever you can do, right? And I'll promote it. I'll share it. Whatever. Do you need help? Blah, blah. You know, you got to get scrappy. You got to get scrappy depending on where you're at. And, you know, I would say to do whatever you got to do. But for artists, Miami Music's week is not a week that you should just let pass by. So figure it out.
Mic drop. Yeah. Mic drop. That's so good. And the advice that I give so often is if you want something from somebody, you should have asked them 3 months ago. And that's basically what you just said. Yeah. So you should have thought about it 3 months ago because it takes time. I love your advice about getting scrappy. I think that's so smart. And that's a really good place to end, even though I could ask you a million more questions. Yeah, so thank you for this.
Yeah, this is really cool. I hope it helps whoever hears this. I hope I gave some decent advice, you know.
That's your weekly elevation. You know what I love most about Paul's insights is that he's not just telling you where to go, he's actually teaching you how to think strategically about one of the most important weeks in dance music. Just think about it. We don't have that many opportunities to all congregate in one place, especially in the United States very often. So his advice about timing your activities and managing your energy and focusing on the right kind of connections can literally transform your Miami Music Week experience. It is all about what you make of it. And don't rule out my advice about fruit, okay? I don't know if it's like the complex carbs, the sugar or the hydration, like whatever it is, fruit has gotten me through a lot of bender weeks. So remember that advice. And remember, success in dance music is not about luck, it's about strategy. I'll talk to you guys next week and maybe see you in Miami.